Welcome back to the TalkCast PodShow, the
My
most inconsistent show on the internet.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm glad it's Invincible that's bringing us back.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of a joke. How many podcasts have we had?
Well,
4, 5?
so I was on Anime Counterpoint, but that was me, HBI, and Masako. Then I know we had the first.
Yeah, we had the TFS podcast where we just kind of like do updates and sometimes talk about like just general news.
I feel like that one was the first one. Like, I don't think we've had that many podcasts. We had.
I mean, there's been different iterations. Like we tried the TFS podcast a number of times. This is the second iteration of the TalkCast PodShow. I don't know, man. Just we're talking about Invincible. Season 3 specifically, the first half.
Yeah, the first 4 episodes, because...
First 4 episodes. There are 8 episodes. Is that what's been confirmed?
Yeah, there's 8 episodes.
How do you feel about that? It's kind of like the new meta of television where we just kind of get like a random number of episodes. Back in the day, it used to be like guaranteed like 12 to 24.
I have no particular strong feelings about it because I think as long as you're telling the story in an effective manner... and you are not spending too much time between getting the episodes out, it's not that big of a deal. We had a much shorter time frame between seasons 2 and 1, between season 2 and 3 than we did between season 1 and 2. And this time we're not getting a fucking break in the middle. So
yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the no mid-season break. When they announced that during the trailer, it's like, okay, thank you. Because that, oh man, did that kill all momentum for like season 2, which was honestly a good season.
Yeah, I have no idea what exactly happened there. I heard people on who were working on the show saying this didn't need to happen.
I think it's one of those things where it's like Amazon needed like a show for that time block a couple months later or something. Like they might have felt like they had enough to fill the time in the meanwhile to keep people on. But man, show to show, like, look, there are a few things I watch on Amazon. I like Reacher. Like that's my like divorced dad show. It's fun.
Yeah, I haven't. I think this might be the only show I follow on Prime. Maybe there might be another. I'm not sure.
You might like Reacher. I mean, the dude, like he takes off his shirt a lot, so you'd probably like.
Oh,
that
I heard
the
the dude
least.
is stupid hot. Yeah.
Dude, like, I'm straight. Exception. Like. Like he could hold me in his arms. He's a big man.
Yeah. Which is really funny because that is accurate to the books where
Tom Cruise is like kind of the auntie.
It's so funny.
Yeah. But Invincible season 3 off to like a banger of a start, and it seems like Cecil Sideshow Cecil is the new Amber, because everybody's all up in arms about him right now.
Yeah,
so.
Cecil Stedman. Yeah, I've got feelings on Cecil. I've got feelings on everyone this season.
I think that's kind of the point. You're supposed to have feelings. Like, it's supposed to be a conflict. It's the entire like thing of this season is nothing is black and white.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own shit going on. Everyone's making mistakes. Everyone's getting really messy. And honestly, I'm about that. I like
character development. I like when the character has edges. Like this entire season, you're starting up right after Mark killed somebody. Like, so he's dealing with some internal guilt, and he's taken that out on essentially the world, the United States government.
He's working through some shit, and
he's working through some stuff.
And by shit, I mean every multi-men that they've got on stockpile. Okay, so we should probably start at the very beginning, where he's killed Angstrom Levy last season, and this season we start off with him getting jacked as fuck.
Right away we get like a training montage of him just boosting himself because he knows the threat that's coming. He fought his first Viltrumites aside from his dad last season, and he knows like, okay, I might be able to stand up to these guys, but shit.
Yeah,
shit.
It's interesting because here we see him basically working very closely with Cecil and the I think it's the CIA, their organization.
Yeah.
he's working very close with them to get stronger, and it starts off on such a positive note with, okay, they've got this great working relationship.
Yeah, he's increased his strength by like 100 some odd %. He's increased his speed. Like he is a lean, mean machine.
And he's got this great repartee with Cecil and fucking Rex, which, by the way,
Rex
has taken such a step up over the last 2 seasons, and I am here for every single second
All he needed
of it.
to do was lose a chunk of his brain. Like, he's doing great now.
It is funny. Man, some men will do anything but go to therapy.
They just shot out the part that was toxic. Like,
I can't believe they blew out his toxic masculinity. Goddamn.
Rex is like a great like teenage angst Gambit. Like, he's great. I love him.
Is he
his powers are Gambit. So.
His power is Gambit, but I wouldn't say he's angsty. I'd say he's more like
toxic masculinity, which can be conflated with angst as well. But
all I'm saying is I love to see his development here, because when he's just changing him to be a little bit more good-natured makes all of his behavior way more tolerable, like immediately. Yeah. Like, again, starting with last season, he's just had this great ramp up.
Yeah, it takes him from being like an obnoxious asshole to being puckish.
Yes.
A puckish rogue.
Yeah, he is. Interestingly, so I've been reading the comics. I went back and I kind of read up to where we were, because I was really, like, during the interim, I got very curious.
God, the show is so much better than the comics. Speaking of somebody who's also reading the omnibus.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because there are so many things that are the same and so many things that are different. And nothing is so fundamentally different, but, like...
I mean, Amber's an actual character in the show.
Yeah. I don't care what anyone says. I prefer this version of Amber. Even with all the mess, and trust me, it was messy.
Yeah.
I prefer this version of Amber. But it's so interesting to me, because right now is when we should be getting the robot storyline where he turns into Rudy.
Yeah.
I find that mind-blowing. That's not supposed to happen.
Which they seeded last season with the future version of the Guardians.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, in the books, he doesn't get a human body until after Angstrom Levy's dead.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. That storyline that happened, I think it's season 1, is now happening. Did that happen in season 1? I could have sworn that happened in season 1. Yeah, it did.
I think so. Maybe.
Yeah.
It was
like, it's just really interesting to me, because now that we're going into season 3, we are kind of past all that. We're past all of like the major time shifts, because I think now we're going more 1-for-1.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out now that we're, like, all the big changes in the way, like, because that was the biggest change in the comics between Amber, besides Amber, and also the Brit, who's not a character in this, and they gave his storyline to Donald, which I find actually works, because the Brit's barely a character.
Yeah, it's fine when you're, like, you know, making, like, you know, just kind of amalgamating characters just to give them other plot lines to streamline the story. That's how you do an adaptation.
That does explain why Donald's plot line felt so like, oh, Donald's getting a story? Donald barely felt like much of a character, and now he's got this major storyline going on. And yeah. I found that really weird when I was watching it, and now I know why.
Because he's kind of this like Coulson-like liaison character who's just kind of like mild-mannered, clearly effective at his job, but they just kind of like bring him back and, you know, just keep rebuilding him over and over again.
Yeah. But yeah, so now we're all caught up, and yeah, at the very beginning here, Mark's getting jacked. He's got a great working relationship with Cecil. He's going out there with fucking Rex. Rex and him have a great broship too. I adore it. I'm so glad those two connected. I need more of that.
Yeah. They respect each other. Like, Mark never really got like too. I don't feel like he ever got too pissed off at Rex's assholishness. Like, clearly, dude's an asshole. What are you going to do? But Mark always just kind of like stuck to his own guns. It was like, okay, yeah, look, he's He's Rex, and the fact that they actually have kind of a friendship that bloomed out of that is great. Also, I gotta point out, I do love the naming convention in this show, because like the first thing they do is they go to get the try to save the Declaration of Independence.
Oh yeah,
where they meet Duplicate's brother, Multi-Paul.
Which guys, did you change your names for this, or were you
voiced by Simu Liu also? So that's fun.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? I haven't been paying too much attention to the cast this season. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I really like Simu Liu right now. He's got a lot of nerd credit for me because he's also working on trying to get a Sleeping Dogs movie off the ground, or series or something, and I love that game. It's fucking fun.
Hopefully they'll make a good Shang-Chi movie. That'd be great.
Yeah. Just give us another one. The first one was 2/3 great.
I think there was some pretty good action and really likable characters, and that's kind of where that movie goes for me.
Its third act was a mess. That's all. Beyond that, though, we get this whole thing because Duplicate still, faking her death. Multi-Paul comes in and is like, hey, Rex, this is your fault. Starts stomping him. So the future kids, I think it's, what is it?
Dropkick and Battlemaster.
Battlemaster. Really,
or is it Fight Master?
Fight Master. It's Fight Master.
Yeah.
They get away and head to the future with the Declaration of Independence, which comes back into play later as to why they did that.
I was wondering that. I was like, okay, that could in Invincible, that could be a one-off, but I don't think it is. So
yeah.
That will come back later. Yes,
they're very good about seeding plots and bringing things back when they matter. But that's kind of irrelevant as Kate just kind of shows up and is like, no, I'm okay.
Okay, so I do have to say, Kate showing up like that is a little like, okay, kind of seemed like you were making it a big deal about not coming back, or at least like staying in hiding for a bit. And then
I can understand needing some time off though. Like how much time has taken place between the 3 months, I think, a summer.
You know what? I should have looked at that.
It's less than a year. I know that. So she just takes, a little vacation with her husband, who is clearly likes him young. But
I
then
mean,
again,
no matter what,
everybody's young to him.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. But the main crux of this episode happens when Doc Seismic finally, communicates with his little underground dweller thingies. And the power scale of the show is odd because Mark is infinitely strong, or at least twice as strong and fast as he was, but these underground creatures are still kind of insurmountable to him.
Not twice as strong, by the way.
You know what I mean, though. He's got a power boost, and I felt like this was the part of the show where we were going to see that come into play, where all of these things were taking down the Guardians of the Globe, all the, I guess, the 50 superheroes that America has, and no, he just kind of gets bodied.
Yeah.
Like everybody else, which is odd, I think.
Unfortunately, so I do like the writing of Invincible for the most part. But this is definitely one of those really big, weird, okay, we need this to happen. Even though you spent the first 5 minutes of the episode telling us just how much stronger he is. And then what you tell me is that this dude, and it doesn't matter if, you know what? It kind of does matter, actually, that it's this dude. Because the reason they did this, the reason they wanted the scene was the entire point of this season is, about change and growth. And how everyone's changing, everyone's evolving, nothing stays the same.
That's one of the themes, sure.
Well, yeah, but I'd say it's, the major thing right now. And so we see that Doc Seismic is now able to take out every single superhero.
More so his minions, but yeah.
Well,
he's learned how to communicate with the underground dwellers, and to the show's credit, we have seen that there are creatures out there that can stand up to Viltrumites. Even Nolan, who is one of the strongest ones that we know. There's that kaiju. They continue to have issues with that kaiju. So sure, there are creatures out there that can hold off a Viltrumite. I'll buy that. And if there are that many, and maybe that poison is a particular poison, I don't know. Mark was, but the fact that he just got like completely outclassed, and there is not a single hero down there capable of destroying those, like cutting open those eggs, is kind of odd, or those cocoons that they were trapped in.
Yeah, and I get it. Like the way that they try and say it is like, oh well, if you like Immortal, if you try and push, you'll crush us. But at that point,
nobody has a blade.
Yeah, no, but well, okay, look, and you could explain like, oh, blades can't pierce them; they're super thick and strong or whatever. But no, it is just sort of weird that after we get this big introduction of just how much stronger Mark is, suddenly the C tier villain is about to win, just about to win, no questions, no problems, just. Yeah, it's a little strange.
Yeah, then Cecil like needs to like Cecil and his organization steps in.
I'm 99% sure it's Cecil.
I don't know. You're correct. I just I'm thinking about it phonetically, and maybe I'm conflating it with Sideshow Bob's brother. But Cecil sends in Darkwing 2 and the Reanimen, all of those like horrible monsters, in order to provide conflict with Mark. Because Mark's like, Darkwing murdered people like left and right when he was trying to defend Night City, or whatever, Midnight City. I can't fucking remember.
Yeah, Midnight City.
Yeah, and all of these Reanimen are clearly the product of a horrible monster, man. So that leads to the end of the episode where Mark's just like, trying to chide Cecil, and leads him into the White Room. And here's where I say, like, Cecil, he's correct. He's absolutely correct that Mark is a threat. We have seen multiple universes where a rogue Mark fucks everything on Earth. Yeah. Maybe Cecil hasn't seen it, but we, the audience, know that if Mark goes rogue, shit's over. So yes, he needs contingencies against Invincible.
Yeah. But we also know that he jumped the gun way too fast on everything here.
Yes, yeah, he immediately blew his load, showing off everything that he can do, and really drove him away. So He's correct, but he's also very wrong in how he handled it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those gray areas where I can't justify morally putting the thing in his head. But I can absolutely understand where he's coming from, and I understand having a contingency to take him down.
I understand the desire to have the thing in his head.
Yeah.
Because it's like, look, I need something where if he goes rogue, if he's about to attack me, like, he barely got away from Nolan with those, like, teleports. If he could have just pressed a button and had Nolan on his hands and knees for a moment, I think he saw that moment. It's like, okay, no, I need something like that in case this happens again.
Yeah. The fact
he's frankly, Mark's lucky it's not a bomb.
Yeah, honestly, it could have just been a bomb at that point. Because
I think it could have been two things. It could have been the sonic resonator, and it could have been a bomb. But I don't think it was an explosive. I think it was just the resonator.
Oh yeah, I think it's just the resonator too. The major problem, is that he's scared right now. See, we get to. It's really great that we got to see a much more unflappable Cecil, who was.
Yeah, you're scaring the shit out of me right now, Mark.
Yeah, and that's because Cecil has tasted fear his whole life, as we find out. Cecil has come up against huge, impossible problems. These people that could kill him, that almost have killed him before. We get to see a version of him before, when he was growing into the man he was when we entered the series.
Yeah, I really liked episode 2. I liked his origin story.
Oh yeah, and then we get to see unflappable Cecil for just a little bit. The one who's still maintaining his calm in these big moments. But after Nolan, I think he's like, fuck. I'm not gonna wait any longer. I'm going to tell these people up front, no, we will fuck you up if you step out of line. Because
we need deterrence from people with these like massive world-ending powers.
Yeah, he's overcorrecting just a little bit because of what happened with Nolan. By the way, finding out how they met Nolan and knowing up front that he was lying is so... Oh, man.
Giving, like, showing how Cecil became as pragmatic as he is, like, you know, you get to see him as kind of like where Mark is right now, just kind of like being idealistic.
Oh, yeah.
No, we need to follow the rules. There is right and wrong in the world, because when he sees that his boss essentially reprogrammed the terrorists that ended up mutilating him, scarring him with their big acid bomb and killing, I think it was like 15 people or something like that.
17, I believe, yeah.
17. And he ends up shooting them. Like, nope, not having this. Like, we see him where he was, like, when Mark was, like, where Mark is now. And he goes to prison, and he has to figure out how to, you know, survive. And he ends up working that place over. I fucking love that.
I do think the juxtaposition was a little heavy-handed, but...
Yeah,
that is
it was effective.
Yeah. Heavy-handed, yes. Effective, also yes. I really do appreciate that they wanted to give you like a very direct parallel. Hey, Cecil used to be a lot like Mark. Cecil also killed those people without hesitation, but their moral, where they were coming from in a place of, no, these people are criminals and they need to be punished. I really appreciate that parallel, because that's...
You can be the good guy, or you can be the guy that saves the world. I think there's like a bit of like some sort of fallacy or a misnomer in that, but ultimately what it comes down to is he believes in a form of rehabilitation, even if it's a very toxic form of rehabilitation that involves mind control or psychological manipulation.
Well, so it's kind of interesting when you talk about that, because they say reprogramming, they say psychological stuff and this and that. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what went into that. They never really explore that.
But it's clear that the two terrorists that he, like, you know, went up against at the beginning of that episode, you can't ultimately change their entire ideological spectrum without doing some really fucked up shit to the core of their being.
Yeah, it's very possible that they got sat down with a machine that ultimately came in and either...
Yeah, they sat him in front of the Clockwork Orange machine and shit.
Yeah, it was either something like just constant... We don't know if it was physical, or what, but we do know, like, it's kind of implied that at least with them, they full on put them in the machine. There
was a shit ton of DMT, a bunch of psilocybin, and just sitting in a white room hearing the same shit over and over. Just, they were fucked with.
Yeah.
Whereas it looks like Cecil does take a somewhat gentler hand in that regard, at least in regards to some of the characters, because I can't remember the character's name, but the doctor that made the Reaniman, he doesn't seem all that changed. He just seems to be in a position where it's like, look, if you want any form of freedom, you do this shit for me. I'll let you continue your work, but I need to have my hand on the wheel. And with Darkwing, it's clear that he's just being rehabilitated. Like,
yeah.
You know, he was in a dark, dark place, and he's being allowed a chance to make right.
It's hard to say with Darkwing, though, because...
Maybe.
It's very possible that we find out later that there's something much darker going on there. Pun not intended.
Possibly.
But it is also, but the way that he does act, the way that he interacts with people, it doesn't feel like there's anything going on there where he's, like, lost a part of his humanity.
Yeah, he seems like he's
gained his humanity back, actually.
Yeah, he looks like he's regretful, or at least that's how he comes across. And then you have Mark sitting here who just basically, he knows what he has done in alternate universes. He's heard about it. He's seen it firsthand. And he just committed, like, the greatest sin in his mind that he could commit, which was killing a man. So I think he's coming from this, like, from a psychological point of view, is like, he's kind of self-destructive in a way, where he doesn't think he should be forgiven, so why should these people be forgiven? I think there's a lot of that in there, which I like. There's like there's an edge to that in the writing.
So yeah, and we should, and just to go over that second episode. Yeah, that second episode, if I remember correctly, is the Cecil Stedman episode where we just kind of get all of his backstory.
Yeah, the first big chunk is, and then we go back to the future where he's facing off against Mark, and that's where we reveal.
Yeah,
it ends with him, Mark flying to the Guardians, and the Guardians having to choose sides, basically.
Yeah, which, man, all of that is great. I love the conflict here. I adore that the younger generation is the one that says, "Nah, fuck this. Nah, we're going with Invincible."
led by Rex, and Monster Girl's on his side. I love Robot's reasoning too, because it's just so clear. It's like, I'm going with them, and it's not just because Monster Girl's going with them. It's because Mark's stronger. I'd rather be on the winning side here.
Yeah,
I might need him.
Robot's pragmatism is so interesting to me.
I mean, that's the point of his character, is he doesn't he's clearly on the spectrum. Like, he's not good at. Don't give me that. That's the way he's written. He's written.
I know. But anybody who's on the spectrum, don't take this as a generalization or a condemnation.
No, it's a spectrum for a reason. There's a wide swath of what that can mean.
He's certainly neurodivergent, yes. He's definitely got the way that he looks at the world
is very pragmatic and logical, like a robot.
Which is very funny, because technically he's got Rex's brain in there, so.
I don't know if he has Rex's brain as much as he just has his physiology.
Well, that is technically his brain. I mean, the way that he...
It really depends on how the Mauler's equipment works, honestly.
Yeah.
But, he thinks about the world in terms of, what is the... I have my goals. What are the best ways I can do... what do I need to do to achieve these goals? And it's not that he has zero emotion. It's just that his emotions are disconnected from his logic centers. And in many ways, I can relate to that.
I do.
So it's fun watching his characterization.
I think that there is something that happened to him, because I think he was rather normal for the most part when he got into his body. I think his perspective was very different just because of how he grew up. I think him adapting to that body was, it took a while, but there was a lot for him to kind of learn and understand about actually being a normal human being and not that thing in the jar that he was. But
okay,
I think,
first of all, ableism.
But I think kind of, and I'm kind of assuming here, I'm kind of like, in my head, this is how I'm going about his development. When he went through all of that training to get rid of his fear, I think he kind of maybe hurt himself in the process. I do think that there was a bit that he's probably lost there while eliminating fear from his mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, again, it's his whole thing is he has an emotional disconnect.
Yeah.
And learning to control his panic centers, his amygdala, was a big part of his training. But yeah, they choose sides. We get them all going back to the teen team headquarters. We also start to see Mark and Eve's relationship develop here as well.
Oh, careful, I might fall asleep.
You're not a fan?
No. Look, I get it, but no. Mm-mm. And it's not bad. It's not I'm not over here oh my God, them again. They're not doing anything that frustrates me. There's no chemistry. At all.
I like what they give us, honestly.
I'm
a bit of a sap, though.
I like that they seem to be in a positive place.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they are trying to have this healthy, open communication. I like that there's less conflict. But it is a little bit weird to me that I found him and Amber to have more chemistry, but more conflict, while him and Eve have less conflict, but less chemistry. So I'm just kind of okay, do your date stuff. Maybe this will develop into something that I actually care about later. And I think it's really telling that the big moment where they're flying around set to that song that, oh my God, that song. That whole segment keeps flashing back, and they should not have done the flashbacks. The flashbacks were a terrible idea. Because because they were poorly done. Like the fade to white was like, oh God, please stop. These look awful.
I think it's supposed to be that sappy sort of moment though, and clearly it is padding for a bit of time.
Yeah, but it's done poorly. You can do sappy and good. It's sappy and bad.
Speaking of sappy and good,
hold on. I just want to get my point
sure.
out. The fact that almost all of those flashbacks to them together is Mark complaining to Amber. Because that's 90% of what it was.
Or about, yeah.
Yeah, that's... Oh, don't show us this. You're not helping your case by flashing back to all these moments where most of them were just Amber hearing Mark bitch.
But speaking of sappy and good, beginning of episode 3, we got that really, like, kind of touching story about, like, the two supervillains that are like bank robbers, and they're just trying to make their way in like a world that is very unfriendly.
How is it in the same show, for me, we get that whole segment, that whole date segment that just kind of lost me, but at the end of beginning of episode 3, we got maybe one of the best scenes in the show, like just in terms of how it's constructed, how it's developed,
all entirely nonverbal.
Yeah, the music, the framing, the story. Damn, Invincible, where you been?
Also, it's because you gay.
I mean, it's a little bit.
But no, it's really cute. We get to see these guys. Like, you see, they have names, but I don't give a shit.
No.
You know, like when they're robbing the bank and there's that one scared little girl, and like, clearly the guy doesn't want to hurt them. There's like, it's okay. It's okay. And, you know, they try to do better after they get caught that time. They get a job. They start trying to live day to day. They actually pass the same, like, mother and child on the street, and they're able to have, like, a nice interaction. But then the economy gets worse. They lose their job. They have to go back to their old ways, and then Invincible fucks them up.
I love that whole segment.
It's great.
And I think, if not those characters, then what that story was telling is going to be a bigger part of the show moving forward. Mm-hmm. At the very beginning, we kind of did skip by this, and I think that's just because we have a lot of characters that we want to focus on in their stories. At the very beginning of this season, Mark is like, you did something bad, you're going to jail. Which is not unlike how he's been in the past, but in the past it always kind of felt like, well, yeah, that's what happens. You know, you go to jail. But here, he's like, no, I'm putting you in prison. He's very adamant about it. There's an emotional quality to it where he wants to put these people behind bars. And I'm really interested to see how his development with being a superhero and a force that punishes people, I want to see how that develops. Because if that goes into the places I want it to go, I would be very happy.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's at this sort of tipping point where he has kind of gone against his own moral code by, you know, killing Angstrom Levy.
Yeah.
And now the entire U.S. government sees him as like a potential number one threat. But they still kind of need him because he's their only defense against the army that they know is coming. So he is in this kind of like compromised position, which is why I think I do like his relationship with Eve more than you do, because he needs that sort of stability. She's always been this character that's been kind of a moral, I guess, buoy, or, you know, she's been this character that's stood on her own beliefs, kind of like Mark, but she's also somebody that can pull him back when she needs to.
Yeah.
Which I think is where their development is going, because not only is he dealing with all of his own mistakes, but a younger half brother who now has developed superpowers, because that's the core focus of episode 3.
Yeah, we'll have to go.
Oliver.
We'll go into Oliver here in a minute, I think, because Oliver kind of deserves a whole thing, but
for sure.
Yeah. So Amber's not Amber, Eve.
Eve.
I'm so glad, by the way, that we got that special with her.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was it illuminating for her entire character in the story without having to cut into the season proper, it also had one of the best fight scenes in Invincible. No, the best fight scene in Invincible. I'm sorry. The animation and everything that went into her fight with the two.
It was a really good special.
It was
for sure.
It was so good. And yeah, that was wholly necessary. I'm really glad we have that because everything here, it means that they get to be much more economic with their storytelling, much more natural. We can just go into this stuff without having to spend all the time with that. And yeah, Eve is a great character.
I like her. I like her growth this season. Like she's going to college to learn how to better utilize her powers on a civic scale.
That's so smart. I love that. Like, yo, give me more superheroes learning to use their powers in ways that are helpful to society. And not just beating up bad guys, but building shit and fixing
learning about structural support, going to class for archaeology.
Yeah. And you're right. And here's the thing, it's not that I don't want Mark with Eve. I do. I appreciate what they do for each other. I just find them boring. That's all. But there is a benefit there that I'm now that you bring that up, I'm hoping that she's going to be a part of one of the people who has to sit him down and say, hey, you gotta be more thoughtful about this. You need to look.
I think that'll be when their relationship actually has to your sensibilities kind of more of a point, is when they actually come into conflict over something, because they haven't yet. They're in the honeymoon phase of their relationship where they're just trying to support each other and be comfortable and be happy. They haven't had that moment of well, you're wrong about this. No, you need to rethink this, which I'm sure is coming.
I do have to say, I love how right William was in that first episode where Mark is yeah, well, her future version came up to me and told me, hey, either tell her you love her or let her go because I go crazy waiting for you. And William is yeah, don't fucking tell her that part.
Don't say that shit.
And you know what? He was fucking because Mark is all
right.
Yeah, Mark is all but I should be honest, right? There's
not about that.
Yeah, there are some things that don't need to be said,
or at the very least, not yet.
Yeah,
you can say that later, way later.
Yeah. And not to mention, if you're so steadfast on it, then you need to be able to anticipate somebody else's feelings a little bit fucking better, Mark. But yeah, he's a fucking kid. It's fine. I'm not saying this is not out of character. It's not condemnable. It's just, Mark, buddy, you gotta learn. You gotta learn.
And speaking of kids,
Okay.
Oliver.
Oh, by the way, kudos to them. Fucking the balls to call him Oliver. Of all names, you went with Oliver.
Yeah. I like what they're doing with him because he's a kid that is rapidly developing. He's been there for a few months now. And now he's at the point where his powers just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and Mark's oh shit. Not only did they pop up out of nowhere, but he's exceptionally powerful for his age.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, because when it comes to Mark and the Maulers, is he holding back a little? Is he trying not to kill them?
He's almost certainly holding back against, what I thought was going to happen in the episode, by the way, was as soon as Oliver popped in and got hit, I thought Mark was going to accidentally kill one of them. Because, he is, I think he does hold back against, normal scale, even slightly stronger characters. The Maulers are clearly superhuman.
Yeah.
They are a Guardians of the Globe level threat. But Invincible can handle them. No issue.
Yeah, as long as they don't have that weapon, I think it's I think that was the big thing. I think that you're right. Now that I think about it, if they didn't have that weapon to debilitate him, which, by the way,
yeah, Cecil, there's several things this season that you can use as deterrents. That one under-earth insect poison clearly knocked him out. That gun that the Maulers have.
Yeah, as it turns out...
You can add this shit to your repertoire, man.
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot of things, apparently, that handle Viltrumites pretty well.
Yeah, or at least half Viltrumites.
Yeah.
So there's things for you to do there. But regardless, we get to see Oliver, who's just, he wants to be a superhero. He wants to help his brother. He saw or he heard about, how his father was this great man on his planet, saving their people, and so he thinks, Omni-Man, good guy. I like him. He's my dad. I
do gotta ask, who's teaching him this shit?
I don't know. Like,
Where
that's the real question. Like, I think it's maybe that they'd been protecting him from the truth because they didn't want to put any like weird psychological hang-ups in his very quickly developing brain that might turn into something really bad, which maybe they fucked up on that anyway. But maybe they were protecting him from the truth of what happened. Just to, I can see why in the house they wouldn't want to talk about that situation to begin with.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
So clearly, he has a different idea of what his father is. So when he puts on the suit and becomes Kid Omni-Man,
which first of all, I always forget the name of
Mark Hamill's character.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call him Hamill, dude. You shouldn't have made that costume.
Rosenbaum.
Yeah, Rosenbaum. Don't make that fucking costume, bro. Even if he told you, hey, make it like this, just don't do that. How about maybe?
I thought the O was for Oliver.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He does say I thought the O was for Oliver. Oh, yeah. That's true. Oh, I forgot about. That's really.
Also, giving Mark a new suit and having nobody recognize him as Invincible is kind of weird. Like, I get it, that's just kind of a joke, but yeah, clearly this is Invincible. It's like, wait, why?
Wait, hold on. There was something else that I only very recently realized, by the way, since I went back and I started reading. Did you catch the joke, or, well, the kind of subtle thing with Mark's original costume?
You mean like the vigilante look with the bandana and goggles?
No. The original one that Rosenbaum made him.
Oh, you mean the fact that what's his name is now wearing it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that, and I'm mad that I'd never caught that before.
Yeah, I can't remember that character's name in the Guardians.
Bulletproof.
Yeah. I have theories about him. Like, clearly he's going to be important at some point. I think he's like some sort of like, because his powers apparently just popped up kind of out of nowhere and just took whatever suit he could get.
Yeah, I'm really curious about Bulletproof, but I mean, for the most part, I haven't really thought too much about him because he's sort of been secondary. Maybe we'll get a story surrounding him. Maybe we won't. But
I think we will, because I think, like, I don't know. My theory is that he was genetically experimented on, like he was given Viltrumite cells or something.
Ooh, okay.
Like that's what I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. I have neither read ahead nor do I really pay attention to many fan communities.
I only know like one or two things that happen in the future because of osmosis. Like, unfortunately, there have been some spoilers that I just was not prepared to try and avoid. Specifically one with Anissa.
Yeah. I think I know the same one. Unfortunately, like when you're scrolling through, some shit just kind of pops up. But again, the show tends to, like, I don't think they're going to change that plot point, but the show tends to do its own thing from time to time.
I don't know how you can. I mean, we'll anyway, I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, it's a whole other thing. But yeah, no, I just found it very funny that he's wearing that costume. It makes me think he went to Rosenbaum, and Rosenbaum's like, I got this leftover one. And
I got this spare one, basically pawning it off like he tried to do for Mark.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, well, fuck it, I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah. Looks good on me, whatever.
It does look good.
Yeah. But
yeah, new costume.
Back to
Don't like the new costume.
Yeah, blue and black. I don't know. I'm sure it's meant to kind of be an homage to, Black Suit Superman, and like, Mark's at this kind of turning point. Will he, go to the dark side? I don't know, because like that seems to be one of the other themes of this season. But Oliver, who is just an idealistic little kid, his morality is only black and white. Like he doesn't have the nuances that somebody who's been around for much longer would have. Sees Mark get into trouble, and he fucking just kills the Maulers.
Yeah.
Which I'm sad. I like the Maulers.
Oh, they're not dead. For good.
They can be cloned. That's true. But
I'm 100% certain.
Regardless, he kills the ones that show up.
Yes.
They are dead. He crushes a skull and he flies through another one Goku style.
Yeah. And it's pretty fucking, it's brutal, and I kind of was like, okay, he's probably going to kill one of them, right? He's not going to kill both. Oh, he killed both. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, like when the other one was like pleading for his life, just like, kills him anyway. And Cecil shows up like, hey kid, what's up?
Yeah.
And of course Mark shows up at that point, was like, get the fuck away from my brother. I told you, I kill you, old man.
One of my favorite lines from Cecil to him, by the way, is when he's like, you're a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, because he is.
Yeah, because you killed somebody, and then you went off and helped your fucking fascist dad, and you're trying to tell me how to do my job? Motherfucker. And it's like, yeah, he's right. And it's great because, he shows up here about ready to come, and it's like, hey, I'm here because your brother just killed some people, so...
Yeah, continuing the family business, it looks like.
Yeah, fucking hands off the merch.
And, yeah, again, another point in Cecil's favor. This kind of leads into, I think, like, Debbie's story so far, where she's trying to get, like, a normal life back, and now she has 2 superpowered children, one of which is clearly not morally or mentally ready for such things, because, I do think it's really cute that she's like talking to him. It's like, you can't kill people. We can't do that. Like, it would make me like, look, you would be sad if I died, right? Well, everybody out there has somebody like that. And like a little kid, he apologizes, but you're not sure if he means it because you're not sure if he understands. Not really.
I do think that he's not lying, but I do think that...
But it's hard to say if he really understands.
I do think the empathy angle was the right angle, though. By saying, hey, there are a lot of people out there who have people like me in their lives that to them, like, if you lost me, you'd be very upset. Well, imagine how they feel. Imagine how they would feel to lose people.
And he comes back with, like, but the Maulers don't have anybody like that. The Maulers are just bad. It's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Oliver develop. By the way, I also have to say, some characters are very similar to how they were in the comics. Others are different. Debbie is like 50% an entirely different character. And she's
great in the show.
I really, really like the changes they made to Debbie. Reading the comic, maybe it's the art style, maybe it's just some of the early 2000s dialogue. She comes off as like...
kind of milquetoast,
and like less involved in her kids' lives. Like, she cares, but like, I don't know. I really appreciate.
There's a lot of things in the comic where she treats Mark almost the same way that she treated Nolan, where it's like, oh, okay, you'll be back for this then, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, okay, we're on to the next action panel.
Yeah, her in this, I wholeheartedly buy that she is where Mark gets her moral center, his moral center from.
Yeah, she's such an important character in the show.
Yeah, that is, and yeah, I think that's very important. Mm-hmm. I think making Debbie way more likable, way more empathetic. Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, like one of my favorite scenes was when she's talking to Oliver. It's like, like all these things that you love about your brother. I raised him, right? So, and he listened to me. So what does that mean? Like, I love that. Like her She is such a good mom.
God, it's amazing because like, and you hear, oh, she's gonna have to take care of this fucking kid that's not hers from her fascist husband who betrayed them all. And it's like, damn, woman, like, you don't have to do that. Nobody's asking you to come out here and do that. But she did it. She's not the stepmom. She's the mom who stepped up. And I love it. Debbie, MVP, again, Sandra Oh, killing it. So good.
Yeah. It is sad that we lose the Maulers. They had a great scene. I love their bit where it's like, and we're going to destroy the entire banking infrastructure of the world. And like, so that only people that use our shit can actually use the internet and stuff. We're no longer just villains. We're businessmen.
Very relevant.
This show has a very... This show is not entirely subtle with its representation of classism. I
mean, it's not The Boys level, but it's...
No.
Yeah.
The Boys, I feel like, is less classism and more just political alignment. This is...
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of things.
It is. The Boys is very much a lot.
I'm just saying. Look, all I'm saying is that The Boys is just less subtle. But though, and with the Maulers again, I don't know that the Maulers, like, we aren't going to see the Maulers again. What I am saying is, I would be very, very, very surprised if they don't have another way to have another clone out there.
If they were just gone for good.
Yeah. Like, one, because that just wouldn't make sense with the Maulers. With the way that they act,
I think it would rob that moment of its importance to bring them back, because we also have this whole plot where Mark's getting spied on, and I think the person spying on him is Angstrom. I think a variant of Angstrom or Angstrom himself is still just out there.
I think it's Levy. I don't know if it's the original Levy or another Levy, and unfortunately, so here's the hard, like, the frustrating part about this being an animated series. That was definitely the same actor. Like, I was like, oh, that's Levy. I just heard Levy there. They're not showing his face, but I'm pretty sure that's Levy. And yeah, I don't know if he survived or if that's another variant of him. I'm very curious to see where that goes. I think that's going to culminate in this season.
Oh, for
hopefully.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of like the starting point of the season. It'd be hard for it not to at least bubble up in the next 4 episodes somewhere.
I'm also just really generally glad that, you know, trying to catch up, I was like, oh God, I hope there isn't like some future storyline that they moved way later in the animated series. Because as I was reading through, I'm like, if I hit a part where I'm like, wait a second, this hasn't happened in the show at all, I was gonna be a little bit sad.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But moving on to episode 4, we kind of go back to Mark's, like, first of all, we do get that sappy love story that you absolutely fucking hate. But
I don't. What?
No, you despise it. Kaiser hates love. No, he hates straight love.
Thank you.
There are too many people, too many breeders.
Exactly.
Anyway, we bubble back to Mark's initial bit of conflict in this season, where the Battle Master and Dropkick, or Fight Master and Dropkick, show up and interrupt a date of his, like, hey, we're from the future and we need you.
I have to say one thing about this scene that bothers me, especially, it bothered me when I was watching it, and it made it worse when I went back and I read it. Mark saying fuck you guys is really weird to me. I don't think we're at a place in his development where that makes sense. That was weird.
I can see it from a couple of angles. Like, he's got a lot coming at him from all sides right now. And for people showing up just saying, like, hey, remember us? Yeah, you stole the Declaration of Independence. Hey, he remembers us. We need your help. It's like, God, these fucking assholes. I just want to have a normal life for 10 seconds.
Him being frustrated about it would have made sense. But when the guy says, maybe you're not the hero we thought you were, and Mark says, yeah, I guess I'm not. Okay, no, and I think it was almost like they just wanted.
It is maybe a bit much, but I can understand it on a human level.
Not with Mark. It does not feel like that's earned. In terms of if it's on brand, I just don't feel it. Because even after everything that's happened, we are at a point where he is frustrated with everything going on, but he's never shirked his responsibilities so heavily before. He just got told, hey, like, thousands upon millions of people are suffering, and he just went, whatever. I don't buy that. I think that was a mistake on the half of the writers trying to, like, convey his confliction right now, and the fact that does not happen in the comic. In the comic, he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, Eve, I gotta go.
That's fair. I don't know. I don't mind that choice because a lot is going on with him. You're right in the fact that, he should still be, like, sticking to his morals, but one of the big themes in this season to me is his fluctuating morals and how fucked up his life is right now. Him just wanting just a little bit of a breather makes sense to me, because he does ultimately go ahead and he learns that what's going on in the future is partly another version of him's fault.
Yeah, but, well, and like, I get the faltering, I get the wavering, but that's not one of the parts that wavers. Like, that's the part that kind of can, like...
It's a part that shouldn't waver. I get you.
Yeah, that's one of those parts where he should... The thing that makes him invincible is that part never breaks. And seeing him so blatantly just throw it off like that... Again, I'm not a fan, and I think the writer for that episode made a mistake. I'm sorry, I just do. I think that was the wrong decision. I don't think it's, like, it makes the whole series worse. I just think in terms of trying to convey where Mark is at right now, that was the wrong choice. And I think...
And maybe it was. Like, I understand your point there. It just didn't bother me that much.
Yeah. But we do get... They do ultimately force him into the future, which they're kind of lucky that he's still Mark. But
yeah, because we go to the future where they're, being ruled over by this ancient king who is just fucked everything up. Gone full fashy, robot guards. For a second, I thought it was going to be Robot that was the problem.
Unfortunately, I immediately put together who it was the moment we saw the silhouette.
It makes sense that it is the Immortal because around for so long, etc.
Yeah.
But when it was like an army of like robot guards, it was like, okay, this could be like a robot who backed himself up into like some sort of supercomputer in order to make sure that the planet was safe, and it just kind of went haywire or something.
Ooh, or a robot who keeps putting himself in a new body, but every time he loses part of himself.
Yeah, like it becomes almost this Ultron type character.
That would be great.
It needs to be this suit of iron around the world at any cost. And eventually humans become the problem. But we learned, like, once he gets there, first of all, the reason they stole the Declaration of Independence is because they thought they could derive some poison from the ink. Like, that was just a rumor or something.
I feel like that's really funny.
It is. Like, they're just grasping at straws. Like, you know what? Let's just go get that one guy we found. Maybe he'll fix it. And so they bring back Invincible, who has to deal with the Immortal, who I guess a future version of Mark left in charge of Earth after, I guess, Mark saved the world and was made its king or something. I don't know. I have not read ahead in the comics. I don't even know if this is applicable to the current timeline of the world. But Mark has to come face to face once again with the morality of what can you do if the only option is killing.
Yeah, that kind of was the only choice here. And I kind of appreciate that we got a fight and then he was like, fuck this, I'm done. And
fine, you win, because Immortal is so broken. He doesn't remember Kate at this point in his life. It's been so long that he has had so many different wives that he's just broken, alone. He has nothing. He just wants the sweet release of death, and only Mark can give it to him, because he, I guess, has some weird moral misgivings about suicide.
I I'm just kind of assuming that since it has been so mentally broken, that him saying suicide is the coward's way out he literally does believe that. His mind.
He said something about maybe he has this like ancient honor belief or something like that.
Well, yeah, because he's like a
is
king
this not
quit.
this not a version of suicide? Is this not his equivalent of suicide by cop though?
I kind of, yeah. This is him being like, I can't take my own life. Maybe you know what? Maybe he didn't bring it up because he didn't want to be preachy about it, but maybe he converted. Maybe he's a Catholic and he's like, sorry, I can't kill myself. My immortal soul will not go to heaven. I need you to do it.
Yeah, that's that entire chunk of the episode where, I mean, it's a bit of kind of like a nothing fight where Mark just kind of removes his head and it's like, okay, just don't put those things back together. He'll stay down. Just don't reunite them. Bury them in different parts. I don't know, blend it up, whatever. Take me home. And then he and Eve have a date. And then we get the second half of the episode, which is hype as fuck.
Yes. Oh, I am so... Okay.
I love Alan.
Between Mr. Peanut Butter... I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the actor. Being the narrator for those segments. And the fact that they always cut to Alan's parts in the middle of Mark getting dicked down. Dicking down specifically.
Yeah, we've had a couple of cuts to Alan this season. Mostly, like I like the chunk where it's like, they're gonna kill you. Well, they're gonna try. They need a pretty big laser. Oh, and just Alan just being this invincible force after being, I guess Zenkai boosted.
Yeah, no, he got Zenkai boosted to fuck, and also he got hotter. What?
He's a big bear of an alien. I get you. He's
giant, and they keep.
He's the reacher of aliens.
The reacher of. He's. I love Alan the Alien.
Sorry,
Unopin. Yeah, I love Alan the Alien. I am so glad we got this whole segment.
His budding relationship with Nolan is great. Like as they're just like, just leave me alone. No, like we can get out of here. No. Okay, then I'm not leaving.
I'm surprised, honestly, that he didn't, because he's like, hey, then do the right thing. And he's like, no. And if I were Alan, and maybe this just speaks to Alan's character of not, maybe not being that emotionally tuned in, I would have been like, dude, they're going to go find that wife you love and that son you love and that other son that you love, and they're going to kill them. They're going to die, and you're going to die knowing that you could have done something to stop it?
Yeah, and maybe that's implicit, but Nolan's at this point where he's self-destructive to the extreme. Like he's at that level where it's like, I deserve death. Just let me die. Like I deserve this for what I did, and that's also baked into him from his culture at birth. So
yeah,
there's a lot going on there.
I'm just saying, I think there was ways to be way more emotionally manipulative, and Alan completely just did not use them. So,
but I don't think that's. I mean, he does more of that later in this episode specifically,
which I called.
Great.
I was like, wait a second, is he just selling this so he gets Nolan?
Yeah, but I love their interactions with each other. Like, especially when he comes back from the first attempt to kill him. He's like, you're alive? Is that relief I hear? No. Just surprised.
Yeah, Nolan and him becoming friends is so good. I am so glad because it always kind of felt like there was a little bit of from the very beginning with the way that he talks about him, he seems actually kind of like, oh yeah, the guy comes here, tests you, just go up there, go fight him. And now he's actually becoming friends with them, and it's great because partially, and that part of that does come down to, I just love the way that Seth wow, I'm forgetting his damn name.
Rogen?
Seth Rogen, yeah. Between the way that Seth Rogen and wow, I forgot both of their names.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. I always want to say J. Jonah Jameson for obvious reasons. Yeah, the reason between J.K. Simmons and Seth Rogen, just their chemistry with each other, bouncing off one another, is immediately likable. And I don't know. It's
great.
They're doing a great job here. Oh God, my boyfriend hates the fact that Seth Rogen is playing Alan. And I'm like,
he's so good, though. He's so good.
I think he's great, but also, I don't know. He doesn't like it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I love it. I'm digging it. I guess I can see why it might be a little bit annoying.
I love his performance, especially in this episode, because like
Yeah.
his entire prison break while trying to be like, once Nolan says goodbye, my friend, he's like, aha, got you, bitch. So he's like, there's something there. So he goes to try to save him from the 2 Viltrumites that came to execute Nolan. Does his whole prison break, lets a bunch of people out, tries to, take down the guards. And Battle Beast is back, baby. Oh.
Okay. So are we both in agreement that the only reason Battle Beast is in there is because he's looking to fight a Viltrumite and let himself get captured?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, where it was just like, because you asked like, who caught him? I'm like, I don't think he got caught. I think he just let himself get caught because he's looking for something that can actually hurt him. Yeah. Like because when Alan lets him out, he's like, who dares free Battle Beast? It's like, clearly this man's waiting for a challenge.
By the way, I should have known this. I never caught on that that's Worf. I'm not a huge Trekkie, so for me, that never really registered. But I realized that was Worf, and God, the casting in this show is fucking great.
Oh, it's on point. Like, I love it throughout. We just get, like, this great segments of Alan running around with Battle Beast, just like, so you say there are Viltrumites coming? Excellent.
Yeah.
You promised me Viltrumites!
The look on his face, like, fair game. This phrase pleases me. I'm like, oh my God.
Battle Beast is amazing.
He's so cool.
It's like, finally, Viltrumites! Forgive him. He's a fan. He's been waiting for this for a while.
I love Blood Knight characters. I love characters who their morality is whatever gets them into a fight. Fuck yeah, let's go.
I love that it just kind of ends with like him and the Viltrumite like drifting off into the vacuum of space, just him stabbing and just grappling each other.
I hope he comes back. That can't.
He has to.
I really would be sad if that were the end.
The vacuum of space can't kill Battle Beast. He can teleport.
Yeah,
we saw him enter a portal anyway previously.
We did with technology that he probably didn't have. Unless he was like, no, you're letting me keep the teleporter or I'll rip your fucking head off. But then again, if you, it's hard to say. We don't know if he has that now because
it doesn't matter. I don't think Battle Beast is dead. It takes more than the vacuum of space and a single Viltrumite to end Battle Beast.
Well, notice how I didn't necessarily say dead. I'm just saying coming back. But it does. It would. I do think it would be. I
think he tests too well with the audience for him to be gone forever.
He tested well with me.
Yeah, he's fucking great. I love that entire segment where he's just go in that whole fight, and of course Alan selling his beatings I guess this is it. Sorry, I couldn't help you, buddy. And then finally Nolan steps up and gets in the battle. It's like, hey, I knew you weren't you injured? Huh? I mean,
you recovered pretty quickly.
I think you just needed some extra motivation.
I love that. I love the fact that he was willing to perhaps be killed just to make Nolan move. God, Alan's so good. Alan's so good.
Yeah. And to your boyfriend's discredit, Seth Rogen plays him perfectly.
I have to say,
his deliveries are on point.
I think there are other actors out there who could have done a good job, maybe even a better job. But I like Seth Rogen, and he's doing. I also
there's something about his just sort of nonchalant, not necessarily goofy, but plain voice coming out of this big buff alien. It fits for me. I think it fits.
It fits his characterization perfectly. Alan the alien being this kind of, he feels like this normal guy who's just got this huge buff body. Yeah, I think that works. Also, that leads into one of the biggest reveals in the show that caught me off guard, big time.
Yeah, the fact that Nolan's okay, we got to get out of here, or Alan's we got to get out of here before reinforcements come. Reinforcements aren't coming. There are only 50 Viltrumites in existence.
Less than 50.
Less than 50.
Yeah.
Especially now that Battle Beast has one.
Yeah, actually, no, it was funny because Quinn and I were watching the episode, and I remember I was like, there are less than 50 Viltrumites left in the galaxy. Two of them, actually, there was 50 before today. The last two of them, now it's 48.
I wonder if he's counting the leader of the Resistance too, or he probably doesn't know about him.
I'm going to assume that he has no idea that guy,
Because that was one of the big twists last season.
Well, yeah, but if there are that little Viltrumites left, do you think any of them know that guy fucked off and betrayed them, or do you think they just assumed he died? Did he fake his own death? I'm very curious about that.
Probably. I mean, maybe we'll learn more about Optimus the Viltrumite at some point.
I'm still not sure I entirely trust him either, but I don't know.
After I think the point where you were supposed to trust him the least is when he unplugged Alan's, life support. But that was also for the reason of this is a gambit. Either he's going to recover and be stronger than ever, or we lose him.
Yeah.
So I think that was the point where you're supposed to be I can't trust him. But then it came back around. It's this is why I did this. And it's okay, trust this guy now.
Yeah, I guess going forward, depending on how things move forward with him, I'll come to trust him more. It's not that I think that he's a bad guy. It's just also not beyond this show to be oh yeah, you thought he was a good guy, but he was a bad guy.
Morally gray is always an answer in this show.
Yeah. So, but I am really curious to see how that turns out. I'm curious to see how that guy relates to the rest of the Viltrum Empire, if we'll ever get anything about that. It's very possible they'll just never address it. But
I wonder if the show's going to end after the Viltrumite War, because I know the comics continue afterwards. But
the what? The what?
Inevitably when Viltrum invades Earth.
Yeah, I'm curious about that myself, because
it feels like a natural endpoint to me. But again, I haven't read the comics.
Yeah, I have no idea where the comics go. I think we're a third of the way through it now.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how that will develop moving forward. I really have enjoyed this season. I think a little bit more than season 2.
Yeah. I would tend to agree. I think I feel like every episode has had some banger moments so far. This has definitely been the stretch where it's oh man, I can't wait till, the next episode drops now. That's where I'm at with this.
Also, we're past a lot of the really bad romance bullshit. The worst we got was when he went
so far.
Yeah. Well, it feels I don't know, because the worst of it was when he went to Amber and then said the wrong thing, and I was immediately annoyed again. I'm God damn it.
You mean Eve or?
Wait, it's Eve. Sorry. Yeah, when he went to Eve and he said the wrong thing about he told her what happened and he did it in a bad way. Yeah, I was oh man, come on.
Yeah, don't will they, won't they this me?
Yeah, we know where look, I know your end game, okay? I don't need spoilers for that. Please don't do this. Yeah. And so, yeah, luckily it was a hiccup, it was a bump, we got over it. I'm not jumping for joy at what we're getting from the relationship, but at least I'm not angry because damn, the Amber stuff was drawn out. I got what they were going for with a lot of it, but they fucked themselves in the first season, which had to make them do a mea culpa in the second season. And it's okay, can we please never do romance shit again in this show? You're bad at it. You're just bad at it. Stop.
Your mileage may vary, but what do you guys think out there? How have you liked this season so far? I clearly we both like it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been sitting here glazing it for about an hour.
Yes.
So, I'm ready for more. We'll probably be back to talk about the latter half of this season when the last 4 episodes are out. So.
Yeah. For the people who haven't read the comics, what do you think is going to happen? For the people who have read the comics, don't make cheeky little comments where you're hitting stuff. Yeah, shut the fuck up, Friday. How do you feel about the romance in this show? Do you think that is this working for you? Is Mark and Eve working?
Is this doing it for you? Is this doing it for you?
Yeah, I'm really curious. I want to know the people out there. This is one of the ones where
what do you think's gonna happen when Nolan meets Debbie's new boyfriend?
Oh my God, Paul! Paul! Why? Fuck Paul! Man,
I like their relationship, but I'll be very interested to see where this goes.
But real quick, I'm really glad that they addressed that it was kind of fucked up for Debbie to do that. I'm glad that wasn't just glazed over because, frankly, the moment she told them, I'm like, Debbie, no, Debbie, no.
Well, it went very poor for her the first time she did it.
I'm just
her
glad.
reticence makes sense.
Well, but I'm just glad. I'm glad this time. I'm glad when she said that. Immediately, Mark was like, dude, you can't just go fucking tell my identity to other people. Come on. And she's like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. That was fucked up. Okay,
yeah.
Good. I'm glad, because I thought they were just not going to cover that, and I would have been kind of pissed. I'm glad that was a point of conflict. Didn't last too long. Wasn't a huge deal.
But it was addressed.
Yeah, and that's good, because that was a mistake. But
yeah, that's us talking about Invincible for an hour and 15 minutes. So
I'm pretty sure that there's a billion other things I could have gone over with
probably.
This. Just these 4 episodes. Oh, that's so good. I'm really glad.
But maybe when the latter 4 episodes flesh out everything, we'll have more to say on it. So
yeah, I'm really excited about this next bit because I only know a little bit about what happens next, but like I know that something cool's about to happen. Everyone's like, "Yo, wait for the second half of the season. It's gonna blow your fucking mind," and I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. Bye.